We just sat down to the podcast. I love your message. And obviously you're out to help other people. You just joined the Less Leg, More Heart team. So we got a little something for you.
Oh, you fuckers gonna be famous.
Guys are looking sharp.
Zach Dingy,
Tony
Two
Capoetti.
Dudes, Three Legs podcast, where we share business tips, interview experts,
And travel the world.
This week on Two Dudes, Three Legs.
Welcome back to the Two Dudes, Three Legs podcast. Today we have Sam Schaefer, an Air Force veteran, amputee, and all-around wellness coach. So in most cases, when people become an amputee, it's like the start of their hardship, and then they have to find their way through it. For you, it was kind of different. It was like you started with a hardship, and then it's almost like the amputation freed you.
Amputation was my solution.
Yes. So tell us about that.
Yeah, people have a really hard time accepting that, swallowing that pill. But no, I lost nothing in amputation. I just don't stand in the shower now. That's about it. That's the only thing I've lost. So while on active duty, I was training in Mississippi. Trip, fall, really nasty injury to the foot, ankle, which developed into a condition called complex regional pain syndrome. Mm-hmm. For those that are unfamiliar with it, which is most people, and honestly, most doctors knew less than I did about it. It's just not very well understood or known. It's a really intense nervous system pain syndrome. You can tell by the name. The name is super non-specific, right?
Yeah.
It basically says, we don't really know what's up. The wiring is messed up. And so for 9 years, I was in a constant state of pain. I never found a 0 on the pain chart for 9 years. And for the majority of that, I never even found a 3.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was
Constant pain all the time.
It was constant. I didn't have... There was no Advil, there was no pill to get rid of it.
And so why 9 years until you arrive at the point of, okay, let's amputate?
So amputation is considered by medical personnel to be a controversial treatment. That being said, I had already failed every treatment, I'd proved treatment resistant. I had seen no progress in 9 years. I'd only gone backwards despite diligent work with exercise, nutrition. I didn't sleep, but my sleep habits and hygiene was very good. Despite doing all the right things, I continued to lose function, and then started to lose it faster and faster. I got to the point that there were times when I couldn't manipulate my toes on that side. Like I'd be sitting there thinking like this with my foot, and
it's not doing anything.
That is happening. Like it was it looked fake. Yeah. It looked like I was making it up. And I just like, it's so impossible to understand sitting in a chair thinking that, and your body's just like, no.
Right.
Like I know how to do this.
And it's funny you say like, you think it's fake like other people would. And that's gotta be a really, really hard part of this is like, it's an invisible ailment.
Yes. I mean, I had a doctor at one point, I had multiple doctors use the phrase, I don't think CRPS is real.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And you're in excruciating pain. You have someone telling you
and I'm
that.
like, okay, then why am I feeling like this?
Right.
Because I mean, the bargaining I did with myself to try to convince myself, maybe this is fake. Maybe this is fake. Maybe.
Would it try to turn the pain off
like
in your
just
own mind?
trying to, yeah. Like
Yeah.
At that point I was out of coping mechanisms.
Right.
And so it literally like that's the position, like mentally there came a lot of points in a lot of days where I would just like, what if it's not real? What if it's not? What if I can figure this out? Because obviously what I'm dealing with is real, but if the condition is not real, then that means that I can turn it off. I just have to access that.
Right.
Well, I didn't. I couldn't, and it's real.
Yeah.
We actually found in the surgery that where the fracture happened in the original fall, there was a deformation in how it healed. And where that like basically bump was, that bump and like almost spike that was created in my fib ran right across the nerve. Every movement for those 9 years was getting tripped. The nerve. Like literally, like I saw like my surgeon took a picture of it while I was opened up. And he was like, he gave me exactly what I needed. He's like, and I just want you to know there was no imaging that we could have done to actually see this. The only way was cutting you open to find this. So, because he knew that I didn't have the best healthcare. I didn't have a lot of support from the VA in any of this. So he was actually really quick to be like, they did not make this mistake. And so like I said, so 9 years of just trying and trying and trying. I didn't get any help. So there really wasn't, no one was having a conversation with me.
Right.
When I said that I didn't feel safe with the idea of taking Vicodin for the rest of my life.
Right. Nobody wants to live like that.
2-3 years in, what was said to me was exactly this. Well, then it must not be that bad.
That's
because I was concerned about long-term opiate use.
Of course. I mean,
but they did. So as far as they were concerned, oh, dude's faking it.
Yeah, because you're not willing to live your life like an opiate zombie.
Correct. I mean, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. With
that's just
with
bad
those issues.
Medicine, man. That's bad medicine.
Exactly. Like, and that's what they wanted. It's easy. Have this pill and go away. I wanted a solution.
Well, you're strong to turn your nose away from that because so many people fall into that trap.
Right? Like that's sold as the easy route. And I didn't think that was the long-term successful route. That does not sound like somebody that could be a dad. That doesn't sound like somebody that could be a partner, that can be, I don't know how you can be your best like that. And that was the big driving thing is like, no matter how low things got, I still wanted to be the best version of that self. And that was probably one of the only things that truly kept me alive. Complex regional pain syndrome is known also by the name, the suicide disease.
Yeah.
I paint with a lighter brush and I'm like, people don't die of old age with this. It's substance abuse, mental health, suicide.
So you were smart to stay away from those opiates.
I had to. Like, I felt that was
suicide sentence or death sentence.
And so as things on that side of it had really come to a head for me. Late December of 2019, I was at the point of like, I could not figure out a point of being alive. I really I could not objectively, I did the math.
Yeah. I
did the math and objectively, which is like where I'd found all solace in any of this, was being objective. Because everything felt bad. So I couldn't go on subjectivity. I couldn't, the math equation was clear.
Yeah.
Equals 0. Ugh. Like I'm 30.
That's your lowest point then.
Yeah, I'm 30 using a forearm crutch to walk around. I can deadlift 500 pounds with my feet planted, but I start walking and things go to hell. And I'm like trying to filter myself. We were just doing the TV show.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying not to say things.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, send it. I gotta, but things had gone to hell. Like I'm like, it's like I'm headed for a wheelchair. And then it came to a point, it's like, I don't know how much work, like, if worse exists, what the hell? I can't do this. Like, and not in like the pessimistic way. I just didn't understand how things could even be worse from where it was at.
Right.
And I had already gone through that cycle 4 or 5 times. Like, how much worse can this really get? And find something new.
Yeah.
And then function started to go. And as far as I was concerned, there was one of the only things that I didn't have happen that can happen with this condition is spreading. I gotta get rid of this.
Yeah.
You cut cancer out.
Right.
So that's when, like you don't leave cancer in because amputation's scary.
Right.
No, you get rid of cancer, and this was cancer.
Yeah.
Like this was a cancer metaphorically.
Right.
So like to me, it's like I got rid of a problem. People don't mourn the loss of their tumor.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, there was a big like mourning process that I went through, but I went through it before the amputation ever happened. So
in preparation, how long did you have before the amputation to deal with it?
So it had been a discussion between my wife and I for the better part of a year. For the better part of 2019, like we knew it might happen. Mm-hmm. We had gotten ourselves prepared for that might be reality. Because as far as I was concerned, as long as I can keep fighting, that gives more time for a solution to arise. And it didn't. Still hasn't. There is very little treatment for this. It's really challenging. So a better part of a year, and so we'd come to the decision that it was okay. We were okay if it went this way. I hit that low point at the end of December in 2019, and I was like, okay, there is no other option. This has to go, and this has to go now. I'm not confident that I can keep carrying the rock any longer.
Yeah.
And so I went to my general care and asked for a referral to a surgeon for a consultation for amputation.
What do they say to you when you ask for that?
No.
Really?
I got told no. She's like, I don't
Why
think
would
this
they
is-
fight you on that?
Because they want to see amputation as a failure. They don't see it as a solution, and it's not a guarantee. And they're like, you could.
What do you mean it's not a guarantee?
Like I could have woken up from my amputation with all my pain still there.
Even with the nerve gone? How?
Because the nervous system's crazy. Phantom pains.
True.
Think how phantom pains work.
Yeah.
It could just spread up. It could just move up my leg. It can move to the other leg. It still can, probably.
Interesting.
So they got emotional about my straightforwardness, and then they use that to make medical decisions, which should never ever happen.
It's ridiculous.
It's like, man, I kind of thought this was my body,
Right.
and I kind of thought this was mine to use, and so like she wanted to not even let me have the consultation, which is basically her job. Her job is not to decide the validity of my request. So I ended up getting the consultation, and the first surgeon they sent me to, and I'll start with, this guy never should have been the one to do my surgery in the first place. I had a very complex case. Can he do an amputation? Yes. He's a vascular surgeon. That's who does a lot of amputations these days. That being said, mine was a particularly complex case.
Okay.
I should have been sent to the specialist that I ended up with. Spoiler alert, got the amputation. If you hadn't realized by now.
Tell.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell by the story or the fact that I'm here. So he literally walks in. Hi, I'm doctor. I'm not even going to put his name out there. And if you do this amputation, you will fail. I'm sitting, he's standing, leaning over me, listing stuff off on why I'll fail. I haven't even tried to get better. I haven't done any treatments. I was like, I've failed all the treatments and I've done nothing but try.
Right.
And so like this guy never even asked what was going on. And then this led into a spiral, like a snowball against me. And the VA decided to be my adversary.
That's so strange.
There's 1,000 people with the same story though. Not necessarily this exact one, but the whole VA is fighting giving them healthcare. Everything I've like with CRPS, I basically got denied healthcare because I didn't want an endless supply of opiates.
Right.
I got denied my amputation.
Do you attribute that to it being the cheapest way for them to treat you, and that's what they wanted to do with you?
I don't know how much of it's financial. I don't know how much of it is culture. I know a lot of it's culture.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I mean, this surgeon is not accountable for his actions in the VA system like they are in the civilian system. They're just not. Like in the military, like for example, when you're active duty military, and this may have recently changed in the last couple of years, but you're not allowed to sue for malpractice.
Wow.
As active duty, no matter how malpractice it is.
Right.
That's wild. I have
What incentivizes him to be a good doctor?
It's the same thing with the government. Why does the government this government has no incentive to do better? There's no competition.
Well, let's not get started.
Yeah. Yes. It wasn't trying to make a statement that way, but that's how it works,
Right. Of course.
And so like, there's just no incentive. Like I've got one of my personal training clients. His whole career has been defending doctors for malpractice cases. He's like, I wouldn't touch your case with a 10-foot pole. He's like that doctor. He's like, your whole care team would lose that case so fast.
That's incredible.
And he just knows some of the details.
That is incredible.
And but in the end, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not changing it. Those days are dead.
Right.
That version of me is dead. I don't have to deal with it. So 9 months of battling, and at this point, they're fighting to not have to do their job, and I'm fighting for my life.
Right.
And they refuse to get on that page. I basically eventually break down the whole timeline of everything that had happened, which also proved multiple forms of literally collusion against me. Like I literally was like, here's where I can tell you've colluded against me. If you're interested in me telling this story to someone else, I can, or you could give me my referral. I finally got my referral 36 hours later.
Wow. There
Amazing,
you go.
Right? 4 pages worth of just, this is what's happened. And this is why this will not continue.
So you end up getting the surgery. It's obviously a success.
I wake up out of pain. Like
What does that feel like? Take us. You're in the hospital bed.
Well,
You wake
it
up.
was the most confusing. Have you ever just been like, I don't understand how I'm feeling right now?
Yeah.
I did not understand how I felt. I hadn't been there. My brain didn't know what to do with all this space. Like my wife and I, we called it pinging.
What was it?
Pinging. Whenever I'd find brain, it just felt like there was a bouncy ball around in my skull because it didn't have all that stress. Like imagine you were just carrying your baby and then you put it down, your arms kind of do this.
Yeah.
Well, my brain had been carrying that rock.
Wow.
That had turned into a boulder for 9 years. And now all of a sudden it's like, I didn't know what to do with it. Like I'd be talking, all of a sudden I'd just be out there. The Dilaudid was probably a small part of it. the Dilaudid was a small part the first day or two. But like over the course of a couple of months, I would just hit the next stage of comfortable that I had never experienced as an adult, that had become so foreign that like I'd be all over the place and my wife would be like, one of us would pick up on it. It became like this like awesome celebration joke. Like, yeah, I'm pinging. Why? Because I found a level of comfort that I was desperate for, and because I was in a constant state of discomfort,
Right.
and not chosen discomfort.
So from looking at your social media, I mean, you appear to be thriving in
I love
life
it.
right now.
I love it.
You are
this
a
thing works.
wellness coach. Explain to us a little bit about the coaching that you do.
So I have probably always been on path to coach and do stuff like that. I'm the second oldest of 12 kids.
Wow.
I've learned how to teach, coach, instruct just about every sort of topic, from schoolwork to athletics to everything in between, to multiple different types of people. That is good coaching, in a sense. So what I do now is primarily my coaching goes through a CrossFit gym. So I do a lot of CrossFit. I do a lot of personal training, I work with people on performance. I do breath work. I do a lot with the breath work stuff, especially at my kickboxing gym. I coach fighters as like on fight night. I'm in the back doing their breath work and pre-fight stuff and mindset.
That's badass.
And it's so much fun. I did a YouTube video on one of the fight nights, and my first thing is like, don't get me wrong, like I watch it. I'm sure you see yourself the same way. I watch, like, man, I can do this video so much better next time.
Yeah.
But in the end, I got to like kind of show a little. I got to show a little bit of what I was doing back there, and so I do that sort of stuff for them. I'm really into anything that optimizes the machine, because for me, just to be passable, I had to be fully optimal before. Now what happens when you apply all those habits, those practices, the discipline learned, to something that can actually finally move forward?
Right.
And that's
like
what's happening right
living under 10 times gravity.
And then now I get to walk around.
Yeah.
At normal.
That's incredible, man.
That's a really good analogy. That's going right in the pocket. So that's what's happening now. Is that I'm so like, you get humbled. So like, I don't care. Like the people that are sitting there like, oh, I don't want to do meditation. Doesn't work for me. Journaling doesn't work for me. There's a lack of humility there. I was like, yeah, a better relationship with yourself isn't going to work. Good point. Like, good point.
It doesn't work if you say it.
And I'm not
too.
saying that there's no magic pill in there. It's about finding your cocktail and your version of journaling and your version of meditation. The breath work's pretty straightforward. It's breathing. There's not a bunch of different ways to breathe properly. But like anything that can optimize the machine, I'm willing to give a go. I'm willing to dive deep into it, take what I can, and then move to the next thing.
Right. So you're like the tester of all.
Yes.
Tell us about all of the mechanisms or all of the practices you've used to deal with the pain. And
cool. So, so breath work was one of the first really big ones.
Breath work is amazing.
Yeah,
I just watched someone push a child out of them by breathing correctly.
Right. Right. But like, it really is like there's a few things that happens there. It's one is, yes, you alter your state and you put yourself in a position for X, Y, Z. But the other thing that happens, like for me, is like everything felt so out of control. Breath work gave me control. At minimum, control to like this thing that was suffocating me, to like push it back and give me this space to stay alive before it like engulfs me. Like breath work is what gave me this to do that. So like breath work, and then really everything came as a branch out like from there. Meditation heavily influenced by breathing patterns.
Yep.
And, focused on the breath, and just different. The most basic form of meditation is to simply just focus on your breath. The sensation of feel it come into the nose, feel your belly fill.
Right, I've done yoga before, and it's like that's what they tell you to do.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. That's why yoga, like the breath, tying the breath in, is why yoga has the research has shown success with dealing with trauma, like actually releasing trauma from the body through yoga practice. It's a really interesting book called The Body Keeps the Score.
The Body Keeps the Score.
It is a wild book. It cracked me wide open.
Really?
Oh man, messed me up for months.
Messed you up?
Like in a good way. Like I got past all the pain, and then I was able to finally start processing the events of my life.
Post-op?
Yep.
Okay.
And then it's like, it just highlights like, that wasn't how I thought it. Oh man, I got to deal with it. Like it highlighted a bunch of things I needed to deal with in a more like in a more therapeutic setting. It's a great book. Don't think that the play though is not to speed read it. Like I can be someone who will like voraciously consume information, and then my integration goes to shit.
Yeah.
And that's no good.
You gotta
at that
digest
point
it
you're just a junkie.
Yeah.
You're an information junkie now.
Yeah.
Instead of doing what you learned on the
definitely
one
guilty of
podcast.
that.
Yeah. I learned to listen to 7 podcasts instead of listening to one and then putting it into practice. So like that's one of those, like that book is nuts. And so it kind of gets into that, like yoga's benefit for trauma. And so, like I said, so there was the breathing, there was meditation. I was introduced to the ice, like the ice immersion. So it seems
something
weird.
I do as well. I just have a horse trough.
Yep.
And I put, I had it outside on my deck in the winter, and I'd hop in once a week. I think I do 11 minutes a week was optimal.
Yeah, so the 11 minutes is like the minimum. Like seek, like if you're going to have a practice, seek to accumulate at least 11 minutes a week.
Right.
I do 3 minutes every morning.
Every day.
Every day. So think about that endorphin rush you get when you do it, right?
Oh, it's the best.
Imagine starting every day with that momentum, and then what happens whenever you started every day in the last 3 weeks with that momentum?
Yeah.
You're on fire constantly. Right. That sort of practice, whenever I was in all the pain, was enough to and the pain didn't go away, but the volume got turned down because I had a bigger stress now, and I could focus on the breathing. And some days it would get it under control for me. Like it was like a wildfire some days. Like I can't talk pain.
Oh my God.
So that's where I would go. I would go to my ice tub.
Isn't it amazing? You're in so much pain. So what do? You go freeze your whole entire body.
I was having a nervous system issue, and the cold immersion operates on the nervous system level. So again, the ice and the cold is stress, and that stress is challenging your breathing. The same way weight on a barbell will challenge your ability to stand up from a deadlift posture. So the ice actually just becomes resistance to your ability to gain control of your.
Man, I need to get in the ice.
So you do that. So I was able to at least get the fire into a controlled burn.
Right.
I never put the fire out, and yeah, there were times when I got out and the pain just immediately kicked back up. But you know what? But what does a 10-minute break do on a really busy day? Right? It can breathe life back into you.
Oh, absolutely.
It gave me enough to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Now it's again this huge forward push for me. I get to start every day with this momentum. My brain's turned on. I don't waste the time because again, I start off with something that's stress is good for you.
Yeah.
Poorly managed stress.
When you use it right.
Yes, it's just all about how you manage it.
Right.
So these things I had to learn. It's stuff that we can all do, right? You don't have to go through a traumatic event. I didn't have a choice.
Right.
But now I get to share all this stuff. I understand it all. I understand it. I've felt it. I know how real it is and how incredibly impactful it can be to be a dedicated practice. So everything, the breath, the meditation, the ice, journaling has been a big one. I've always been a very blocked person. I've always wanted to be able to create, draw, this, that, the other. And I've just always felt really blocked. And as I'm going through all this stuff with the pain, I don't have the space. I don't have the space up here to actually take a blank piece of paper and turn it into something.
Right.
Now I've got the space. So through the journaling, I'm able to kind of like move the wheels along and just, what am I thinking about?
Right.
What am I feeling like? And just very simply getting that first little bit on paper and getting it out, like that there is a real thing to physically like releasing that, that comes from journaling. And again, there's a million ways to journal. I mean, there's a million ways to journal, but I just found that moves me past like that first hurdle. The second one's always easier to get over.
Right.
Because momentum's very real. Again, I start off every day with that momentum. You know, I wake up, my morning routine is sacred. I did the same morning routine here in Boston that I do at home, except I don't have my cold tub. But I woke up, 10-minute breath work, a little bit of journaling, cold.
And you've probably tried so many things, but these are the ones that really work for you.
They never stopped working.
How do you keep your tub cold during the summer?
That's what we're figuring out right now.
Oh.
I just got one. Actually, that's becoming a little bit of a niche on YouTube for me, is like these solutions. I actually just wrap my tub in a garage insulation. Keeps the sun from beating on it.
Right. Okay.
And it's actually working
You
pretty
just
well.
throw ice in there.
Yeah,
with
yep.
it, and
I've
that's
got
it?
it. I bought an ice maker.
Oh, snap.
And I'm way under $5,000 for the self-cool tubs, which are amazing. I just don't have the money and space for it right now.
Okay.
And I'm really interested in creating a more accessible solution. The whole world gets better with an ice practice. Everybody gets better.
Yeah.
People have this idea like, I can't change the world. You can't change the world by yourself.
Ooh, that's a bar right there.
But
This guy's always got
I
the
don't
bars.
believe that.
Oh.
So I don't, yes, you can change the world. The first line of my like mantra type meditation. So I'll do my breath work and I do a little meditation to myself. And the first line is, if I change myself, I've changed the world.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I like that.
So by simply doing something to improve yourself, you've now raised the average of the world. What happens if everyone moves 1% instead of someone thinking that they have to push the rock all the way?
It's a lot of change.
It's a lot of change, right? If we all get 1% better today, how much better is this group tomorrow?
Right.
And what happens if we
Over
keep doing
time.
it?
The momentum
What
factor. It's
so-
exponential.
Correct. So now the snowball's growing the right way down the hill. That's what we want, right? And that's what you can do for yourself. And like these things, like in the end, I never got help from anyone. Like there were people that wanted to and meant well and others that didn't. But in the end, I was the only one that could help myself. I had to put my own oxygen mask on first. And because I did that and I kept doing it and kept fighting for it, I'm now in a position that I can explain something to you about your prosthetic. I can help Amoya with I just realized I said your name wrong. Super sorry. With maybe a stress management question she has. Because guess what? She's not near as deep down the hole. So if it worked for down here, what happens when she's here? Oh,
Right.
now she starts to understand that control she's got. And then that leads to her doing more stuff. That's why the breath is so important. And I hope like to get to do a little bit at the test run to teach these guys a little bit about breathing.
Yeah.
To give them this sense of control.
So
The keys are in your hand if you hang on to them. Don't hand them over. And to understand the control that you've got, like back to the breath is like, that's where I learned all that. That's where I learned that I had control, and that's how I can control it. Oh, so if I do that, I can do this. So I just got to keep doing this. And like I said, it gives me this now opportunity to share, give back. Like no one should have to go through 9 years of what I went through
Right.
to simply see 1 ounce of progress. And I really hope that I am going to be able to stop that from happening from one or more people.
else.
Like,
Dude, it seems like you've taken the struggle and you've only taken the positive out of it, which is incredible. And now you're just naturally, you want to bring that positivity.
yeah, why hang
other
on to the
people.
past, man? Like the version of me yesterday, he's dead too.
Right.
And I thought it was a pretty good one. It was pretty all right yesterday, but like good, bad, or otherwise, he's dead.
Yeah.
So why am I going to sit here and worry about him? I got to take care of now.
Right.
And like, I was telling this to someone the other day. They're like, I just really don't. He's like, I love it and it's awesome. He's at my kickboxing gym. He's like, but it's like you don't care about your amputation. You know, I was like, you're damn right I don't. Who fucking cares?
Right, it's done.
I was
What are
like,
you gonna do
you
about
think
it
the
now?
grocery store changed because Sam got lost his foot? No, it's still the same grocery store he's got to get through.
Right.
It's still the same everything. So I just have to solve. I have to solve the same puzzle differently.
Right.
I don't get a different puzzle, you know, and like so it's like he's like, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I can let this be my limiter or my superpower because now I know it doesn't matter.
Right.
I know that literally losing a foot does not matter. So what do I got to be worried about?
Right.
Like, why would I dwell on the negative?
That's how I look at it all the time. And I
Like-
think people have a hard time seeing it that way.
And you know, it's like, you know, there was no loss here. I didn't lose anything.
Yeah, for you gained your...
Correct,
your-
right? Like, I took control.
Right.
And I just don't, again, I don't know any other way to do it. Like nothing else, like everything gets so stripped down when you go through that process. You don't get to participate in bullshit because it doesn't work. Otherwise it wouldn't be bullshit. It would be the truth. The truth doesn't need your compliance to be true. It just is.
Ooh.
But your bullshit does. If you drop your bullshit, it just disappears.
Yeah.
And that's how you know it's not the truth. Does it need compliance to be real? Or do I have to create it?
Dude, that's deep.
Like,
I really
again,
like that.
I've created no truth. But humans only create bullshit. The truth is the truth.
Right.
And that's just the reality of it. Like, again, I got into a situation where I had no room or bandwidth to deal with anything but the truth.
Yeah.
Now I just have to continue saying yes to that. Like, I have to continue saying, yes, I want to be the best version of myself, not just out of pain. Getting out of pain allowed me to be the best, is on the journey of being the best version of myself. But it wasn't just to get out of pain. It was to be, if it was really about being my best, well, that job's not done.
Right.
That's a 24.
Now you've made a habit of constantly improving yourself.
That's a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
Mindset isn't part-time. So if I do that and I continue, again, this is what people are like, I can't believe this is happening. You're on fire. You're this, you're that. And for me, I'm just taking the next step because everyone's thinking about hopping on the train at their chapter 10 when they're not even willing to crack the book and actually read chapter 1. Like, that's why it seems inexplicable that someone could live like I do. That's why people, like, they see that and they're like, oh, that doesn't work. That mindset doesn't work. He's just making shit up. He's just
tested and proven.
Like, then why am I here?
Right.
Like, but again, I did it 1 second at a time.
Right.
I also dealt with all 9 of those years 1 second at a time. I felt every single second of pain.
Right. I think you have an incredible story to share, and I think that's something you should bring to your YouTube channel.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
What is the name of your YouTube channel? Plug it.
It's really clever. Sam Schaefer.
How did you come up with that?
So if you go back about 33 and a half years,
Mom and Dad.
my mom was like, I like the name Sam. And my dad was like, I don't get a say in these things.
Well, Sam, what I really love about what you do is, like, you've gone through all of this BS and you came out on the other side, the victor, obviously, but you didn't stop there. And sort of like the same as my trajectory, I didn't want to once I figured out how to make myself whole again, I wanted to help other people become whole again.
Yeah, like,
and
for me, this wasn't a finish line.
Right.
This was like the little jet speed thing on Sonic.
Yeah. So now you decided to go and help other people, and you're joining us with Less Leg, More Heart.
Yes.
To become a peer-to-peer.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough for Tina to ask me to be a part of that, and man, is that a cool opportunity.
Right?
The idea of giving someone a leg is pretty freaking nuts. I'm not the master at raising money. Otherwise I'd probably have a lot more of it myself.
Yeah.
But I'll get there. Again, just the idea of, like, I know what my ability to challenge myself has done for me. And there's a lot of ways to challenge yourself. It is really consistent that the physical realm is an effective way to do that. There's tons of, everything's a vehicle, right? Like if everything's a vehicle, then it doesn't really matter the specifics. Some people find it in martial arts. Some people find it in the weight room. Some people find it on a chessboard. Some people find, like, it doesn't matter where, but you have to be willing and humble enough to accept that lesson and to, again, to learn from it. It just really seems, though, that the physical side of it just checks a lot of boxes at the same time.
Right.
There's the health side of it. There's the mental, like what it does for your mental health side. And I'm the first person to say the gym is not therapy. It can be therapeutic, but it's not therapy. But it is good. But movement is good for your mental health. And then on top of that, then you can build and learn all these other things: the discipline, the consistency, and then you just now, whenever you're trying to develop like a meditation practice, well, if you're already good at being consistent, now you're just learning one thing instead of two. You stack skills. You just layer and layer and layer and layer and layer. Again, whatever works will prove itself.
Dude, you're a natural born coach, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. I think so too. For a long time, I dealt with the issue of I didn't feel that I had self-worth unless I was giving something to other people. Oh, interesting. I have finally come to the realization that while that may have been something that was planted in my head for a long time, it wasn't right. But the truth is actually that I'm at my best when I'm doing stuff, when I'm in a role like coaching. That's what makes me my best. And that is, I am terrified of the second best version of myself. My wife does not deserve that. My wife is way too good to receive the second best version of Sam.
That's powerful, dude.
Like, I'm terrified of that guy.
Well, listen, man, I love what you do. I'm going to ask you, and I think you might have already answered it, but I'm going to ask you my favorite question of all. At the end of the day, what is your message to everyone out there?
Trying to distill this down. Take a breath and keep walking.
Oh, I like that.
Take a breath. Keep one foot moving in front of the other. Things will change.
That really encompasses everything we just talked about. I think that was really good.
Oh, dude, you gotta, like, if you would have seen me when I first started coaching, like, I was the king of word vomit. My mechanism for confidence in front of a room was my knowledge. So I just vomited it all out there, even though they cared about maybe 10% of that.
Right.
And the other funny part, man, you wanna know what I got told in grade school and high school by multiple teachers?
What's that?
Make sure you avoid a career or job that has anything to do with public speaking. You're just not good at it.
What? Isn't it amazing the people that say that?
I was told that from the time I was in middle school. It got reaffirmed by teachers in high school. I don't think I proved them wrong. My whole job is public speaking. My whole job is public speaking.
Right. I think you should take your YouTube channel and pick lessons that you've learned through the hardships that you went through and then make videos about them. I think that's a great way for you to serve.
Yeah, that's like the direction I'm going. I'm kind of getting my chops right now, kind of learning the editing process. Cause like,
we can help you with that.
Yeah, please. I'm so excited to meet you guys and like learn a little bit more about like things being done at the level that I think I can do them in the future. But like, if I have this message that I believe is truly this dynamite, I want to really crush it. Like, I was thinking about this the other night and I was just like, there are so many amazing messages on YouTube that have under 100 views.
Yeah, it's true.
Like people that they've got all these great words and they've got all this great message, but they've got no understanding on what fully encompasses getting it out there. And that, so like, right now I'm just kind of getting my chops, kind of sprinkling stuff in as I give context that makes sense. But developing those skills so that I can then do this exactly how I want to do it. That's why I've done some like vlog type videos. It's just simply getting the reps in.
Yeah.
And it just gets me the practice. It gets me to edit a video, go through the full process, adjust and assess and improve the next time and continue to roll that over. And I know that as it makes sense, it will organically come out.
Grow. Yeah. And get better and better over time.
It's the forcing it that kills people.
Yeah. Well, look, man, you have a lot to offer. I can't wait to, this is just the beginning of our friendship and relationship. So. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we're doing. I'm really looking forward to the test run. So
yes, I've actually never been on a running blade before.
Really?
Yes, I'm actually really excited to see what this feels like.
That's dope. You're excited to try one.
Yeah, because I think a longer run is in my future.
All right.
Not because I want to. I just I'm so determined. I was so limited for so long.
Well, you'll get your chance to run on one.
Right. I refuse to have a physical skill limited experience opportunity. I always want to be like, if someone comes like, hey, let's do this thing, I never want to be like, oh shit, I don't really know how, I don't have the proficiency to run, so I can't do this. Nope, I'm not. I refuse to let that be a limiter in my life. I get that choice.
We just sat down to the podcast. I love your message. And obviously you're out to help other people. You just joined the Less Leg, More Heart team. So we got a little something for you. I want you to try this blade. Oh, fuck.
That's from Levitate, from Less
shit.
Leg. Anthony raised the funds, and it's from our
I wanted to
community.
make sure you got one because I know
Thank
you're
you
out
so
to help
much.
people.
Like,
And
No more waiting for
We
the VA
wanted
to
to
fund
make
you.
sure
It's
that you
time to
got-
run this weekend. Yeah,
thank you so much.
pop
Like,
it open, dude. I want you to
Anthony, thank you for your fundraising. Thank you to Last Day for making a great product, and to all the people that donated, man.
that was quite the little setup right there, bud.
Right?
Oh, fucking right. I can like hop and skip.
Yeah.
You want to try putting this thing on?
I've got a hybrid, like the Cheetah Explorer. It's got the heel on it.
Okay.
So like from a running gait standpoint, the heel kind of gets in the way of like proper technique, because there is a reason why there's no heel on this.
So do you take it running, the Cheetah?
No.
You don't?
No, honestly, I've just not been able to get comfortable in my running stride with it.
So when's the last time you would say that you've kind of got a full running stride on?
September 6, 2011, when I blew my leg out.
Right now, what I'm going to warn you is
Call my wife.
Oh, can I hold her on FaceTime? Let me hold her for you.
Okay, I mean, if it's only on FaceTime. Hey, babe, I'm gonna hand you over because I want to show you something. That's Tina, by the way.
Hi. I've heard so many beautiful things about you. And just like, I feel like I already know you, but I want you to know that your husband is running for the first time in 12 years.
That is nuttier than squirrel shit.
nuttier than squirrel shit.
Woo!
Like,
It takes some adjusting. I think I got to pull it out.
so this is Anthony.
How you doing?
He's another one of the big. I just did his podcast, and he just gifted this. Like, so he raised money and decided I was going to be the recipient of one of the free legs. So yeah. So
It was his eyes.
So I just no, it's cool. I wish you were here, but that's always the case. So I just wanted you to get to kind of be a part of that. Love you, babe. Bye, babe.
I'm about to cry. Chill out.
You're the best, dude.